On this episode of the Catholic Echo podcast from the Diocese of Youngstown, brought to you by the annual Diocesan Appeal and Cumulus Radio Youngstown, we're talking about Catholic Charities and Giving Tuesday. I'll be talking with Hrbolich and Jennifer Lucarelli. Find more about this episode's topic, including articles from the Catholic Echo, at www.catholicecho.org/podcast. And now the host of the Catholic Echo podcast, Dennis Viviana.
Hello and welcome to the Catholic Echo podcast. Today we are talking about Catholic Charities' annual Season of Giving campaign. This annual 60-day campaign benefits those in need throughout the 6-county Diocese of Youngstown. Joining us today to speak a little bit more about the initiative is the Vicar for Missionary Discipleship and our Communications Director, Father John-Michael Lavelle. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here.
For those who are learning about the Catholic Charities Season of Giving, what can you tell us about the history of this initiative?
Well, I think most Catholics will recognize, even before we talk about the season of giving, that the months of November and December are very busy and very active months. If only looking at your offertory packet, to be perfectly honest. We begin with All Saints and All Souls. There's an offertory for our religious retired. There's the Thanksgiving envelope. Then we have the Holy Days of Obligation. We have the Immaculate Conception. Then at the very end, January 1st, is Mary, the Mother of God, Christmas and Christmas flowers, the regular stewardship, and then all of our parishes do something in terms of a Christmas giving program. So they are very, very busy, and we're asking for a great deal of generosity. However, the reason for that is this is a time when there is such great need. People are always hungry. People are always looking for shelter. People are always looking for help with clothing or other utilities. But we see that there's also that need to provide a little more hope, a little more joy, a little more happiness into people's lives, especially young families around this time. So for that reason, several years ago, we began a season of giving, which ran from that traditional the beginning of a month of Thanksgiving and remembrance, but also going through to the end of the calendar year. So we begin the season of giving beginning of November, but it runs through until the end of the year.
And of course, the need is great here in the 6 counties of the diocese. Some of the things it helps with keeping families in their homes, food on the table, allowing utilities to remain connected as well.
Absolutely. And, we talk sometimes about we've had collections in the past where like keep the kids warm and things like that. And then you end up with a nice stretch of weather. And then people go, oh, well, they don't need that, But it's always been all of the utilities and what will come. So we may have a warm December and people think, oh, there's no need for that. But then January and February is just around the corner. So we're always looking at the bigger picture of how we help people with their utilities, how we keep people in their homes, and certainly how we keep them warm and fed.
And a one-day event you have is Giving Tuesday on December 3rd, also the breakfast with Bishop Bonner at your parish, St. Michael Parish. It's an online fundraiser where Catholic Charities aims to collect more than $20,000 in 24 hours. Got to be an exciting day for you usually.
Giving Tuesday is more than just the church or more than just Catholic Charities. I'm sure many of our listeners have been approached by a multitude of charities. It kind of grew out of we have Thanksgiving, and then we're all familiar with the Black Friday sales, and people start lining up outside department stores. Now it's changed a little bit with everybody doing online shopping, but still the department stores are packed on that day after Thanksgiving. And so where you saw the big box stores and the big malls garner all of that, then people started talking about, well, what about our small businesses? Mm-hmm. So we know we went from Black Friday to Small Business Saturday. Mm-hmm. Thank God they've left Sunday alone for us to worship our God, and most of the often, like this year, begin the season of Advent, but then it's followed up with Cyber Monday. And we know that many people are online ordering all their things. So by the time you get from Thanksgiving Thursday and Black Friday and Small Business Saturday, Honor the Lord on Sunday, Cyber Monday, we finally get to Tuesday. And so that became Giving Tuesday. It was when, I guess, if everything else we were done with, what could we offer to those in need who didn't have the luxury of a Black Friday or a Cyber Monday, but to provide for those who are going to come to us with their various needs. So Giving Tuesday is much more than just the church, but in the church, we have made it a very specific campaign.
Now, you've been in the diocese and Valley here a long time. Is the need the greatest you've seen right now for these type of charity fundraisers?
I think the need is the greatest on a twofold level. I think that those needs continue to grow. We have people in our area that are very well off, but we certainly see that many of our young people have had to move away. to get the jobs that their college and their training have provided for them. And so it does leave you with an ever-growing impoverished base here in the community. I'd also say that it's the greatest ever in terms of the work we do with Catholic Charities, because there are more and more, and this is a good thing, but there are more and more charities out there, and there are more and more organizations fighting for a limited resource of dollars. And so I always mention that years ago, when someone would pass away, in their obituary, it would often say, if anything, maybe make a gift to your church. Now we see it for any organization that maybe was their passion, maybe it was what deals with the illness that they passed away from. It might be 3 or 4 different places. So I just mentioned the need continues to grow because there are so many organizations taking a piece of the pie, but I like to focus on the ones, Catholic Charities and many others beyond us in the church, who are focused on the very basic necessities needed by people.
Now, there is an option to pledge now and pay later. Where could folks find out more information about that?
They could certainly go to our social media or to our diocesan website page and then link on to Catholic Charities. Our diocesan website is www.doi.org and can get linked up with Catholic Charities. Certainly our social media. I would invite people to look for Catholic Charities in the Diocese of Youngstown on social media, to like and to connect with all of those, and to pass them on to all of their friends. You know, we're so good at sharing on social media, and I get it myself. Parishioners will send me this, my mother will send me that, or mention, this. And so I get all these wonderful pictures of other people's kids and Halloween costumes and Thanksgiving dinners and recipes and all that. To share the good news of helping the poor in our area, I think is vital.
And that's what it's all about. Yes, definitely. Now, anything else you think is important to get out there to our listeners?
First and foremost, a thank you. A thank you for those who are listening, who have been very generous to the work we've been doing in the church. We're wrapping up the annual appeal, and we are reaching a point where we have never been before. We're hoping that this coming Thanksgiving, in just a few days, we'll be able to announce that we've met our $4 million goal and gone beyond it. And people have been very, very generous in that work. And the lion's share of that goes to Catholic Charities. But just the other ways in which they've always been willing to help. It may be within the church, it may be outside of the church with other organizations and activities. I just want to thank everyone who is themselves thankful for how God has blessed them and recognizes the need to share those blessings with others.
All right, Father Lavelle, thank you so much for your time. Coming up, you'll hear from Rachel Hrbolich, the Director of Catholic Charities for the Diocese of Youngstown. Much more to come when the Catholic Echo podcast returns.
Many sisters, brothers, and religious order priests served for little pay, and now their communities lack retirement funds.
I spent 34 years as a teacher.
I just loved interacting with the students.
Gifts to the Retirement Fund for Religious help provide for medications, nursing care, and more. An annual collection is held in parishes across the nation.
I always remember you in my prayers.
Please give to those who have given a lifetime. Visit retiredreligious.org.
Did you know that the Catholic Echo magazine is delivered 10 times per year to 52,000 Catholic households in northeastern Ohio? That's more than 150,000 people. And the Catholic Echo website, catholicecho.org, has been averaging 30,000 views per month since it launched in February 2023. Advertise your business, special event, or service with the Catholic Echo in print or online. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org. Advertising discounts are available for Catholic institutions as well as for businesses that commit to 5 or 10 issues in a year. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org or visit the advertising tab at catholicecho.org for more information.
The Catholic Echo magazine is delivered free of charge to anyone who is registered at a parish in the Diocese of Youngstown. But subscriptions are also available for non-parishioners. A subscription costs $40 per year, and you can buy one for yourself or gift a subscription to a loved one. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org for more information.
When storms hit, we are there to rebuild. As our neighbors age, we lighten their burdens. As our veterans adjust, we ease their transitions. In every part of the country, we are there. We are Catholic Charities. We serve millions each year regardless of their faith. We put food back on tables, unlock doors, and walk together on the road back. Help Catholic Charities serve your neighbors in need. Join us at wearethere.us.
The Catholic Echo is the media arm of the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown, and it seeks to inform and entertain Catholics in our 6-county diocese by forging stronger connections to our parish communities and highlighting the many blessings of Catholic life in our region. If you have a story idea for the Catholic Echo magazine, podcast, or website, send an email to catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org. We'd love to hear your ideas.
Wondering what happened to timely Catholic news in the Diocese of Youngstown? It's at catholicecho.org. Sign up for the email newsletter while you're there to have Catholic news delivered to your inbox.
Welcome back. We continue our discussion about Catholic Charities Giving Tuesday. Joining us today is Rachel Hrbolich, Director of Catholic Charities for the Diocese of Youngstown. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're very welcome, Dennis.
Just wanted to ask you, starting off here, what can you tell our listeners about Catholic Charities' mission during this holiday season?
Well, as you know, need knows no season. Our mission at Catholic Charities stays the same throughout the year, and that's to provide help and create hope. People in our diocese are struggling every day to put food on the table,
Yes.
gas in the car, get the utilities paid, keep a roof over their heads. But what we try to do during the holiday season is provide an extra level of assistance so that parents who are struggling have gifts for their children, and so these parents can worry a little less during the holiday season and enjoy it like the rest of us.
Now, some folks may ask, how does the season of giving differ from the Diocesan Appeal?
Well, as you know, the Diocesan Appeal is a critical source of funding for Catholic Charities. 60% of all the funds that are raised after expenses go directly to Catholic Charities, and we use those funds to fund our agencies that are out in the communities providing services. What our Season of Giving campaign does, it allows us to address a heavier volume of clients that we see during the holidays, and to help us, like I mentioned earlier, boost that level of assistance that we give so that we can provide gifts for children and older adults. Our agency that serves Columbiana, Mahoning, and Trumbull counties likes to give gifts to older adults during the holidays, and also make sure that families have all of the food items to prepare a nice holiday meal for their families.
Now, how great is the need here in the Valley and throughout the 6-county diocese?
Thought you might ask me that. So I did a little looking at our statistics from 2023 and compared them with the first half of this year. So far, our 3 Catholic Charities agencies that serve our 6 counties have touched the lives of over 17,000 people. If we stay at this pace, we're looking at an increase of about 10% over the number we served last year. And while 10% may not seem like a large figure, that's 3,300 people.
Wow.
We've spent nearly $200,000 through the first half of 2024 helping people avoid eviction and foreclosure, so keeping them stably housed. And we've also spent another $170,000 helping people with utilities. So what Catholic Charities is doing is really helping people stabilize their financial situations so they're able to make it on their own because, people are struggling with the cost of inflation and everything just like the rest of us. So when you have limited means, those problems are really exacerbated.
And it is unfortunate you don't see those utility or rent prices coming down anytime soon. Now, I'm sure you have so many stories of families who have benefited and really thrived because of the services from Catholic Charities.
Sure, there are a number of stories, but I have to tell you that the housing stories are really the ones that hit right at my heart. My family lives in a house that my father-in-law built in his spare time back in the early 70s. So our house, to me, is more than just a place where we live. It's really a home, and I love it. I love living there. I think of a story of a mother that I'll call Bonnie, who came to Catholic Charities. She has 4 kids. She is employed by the local school district where she lives. She receives medical benefits, but not SNAP or food stamp benefits, and no other public benefits because her income is just a little over the threshold. She had some damage done to her home and needed an important electrical repair that cost $1,500. She couldn't wait to get this item repaired, she had to do it immediately. So she started to fall behind on all of her other bills. She had a very modest savings that she had to deplete in order to pay the electrician to get the repair done. So she came to Catholic Charities for assistance with her mortgage, and what we were able to do was help her to pay 1 month of mortgage until she could get on her feet again. But really, she is a typical example of the kind of person who comes to Catholic Charities. Many of the people that we serve are working, which might be a surprise to many people who could be listening today. But they're living paycheck to paycheck, or they're not able to make it in between those paychecks. They're consistently at risk of falling behind and just deal with that stress on a daily basis. Living paycheck to paycheck for someone like Bonnie would be a blessing because she's constantly, she's falling short at this time, and many like her are just not able to live paycheck to paycheck. They're relying on organizations like Catholic Charities in between those paychecks in order to provide for their families.
Now, how are you able to make a person or family's holiday bright from a staff or volunteer perspective?
Well, our staff and our volunteers are amazing. Many of our staff are struggling with the same issues that our clients are facing, inflation and high prices. But really, during the holidays, they put their own needs aside. And every day, of the year, they put their own anxieties and worries aside to make sure that others are provided for, and especially during the season of giving, to make sure that our client families have a Merry Christmas. I'm proud when I walk into any of our Catholic Charities service sites during the holidays, when I see the joy that our staff have on their faces when they are helping organize donations or help clients choose gifts for their children. And then to see the gratitude on the faces of those who come to us for help is really a reminder of what Christmas is all about. It's about giving. And our Catholic Charities staff and our volunteers do that every day.
Now, are there any good websites or resources we can share with the public?
The best way really to find out what's happening at Catholic Charities during the season of giving and throughout the year is to really follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And if someone were interested, all they would have to do would be to search us at Catholic Charities, Diocese of Youngstown, and we could be found very easily. Also, our website, ccdoy.org, has all the latest news about Catholic Charities, and people can look up information about the agency that's serving their particular community in the diocese. Podcasts like this one, and of course the Catholic Echo magazine, are great ways to learn more about the Catholic Charities ministries throughout the diocese.
Rachel, thanks so much for your time. We wish you and your staff the very best this holiday season.
Thanks, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
Where can you hear about faith in action?
What does hope look like in our parishes and schools?
How do we share God's love in our charities and outreach?
The Catholic Echo amplifies the voice of Catholics
in the 6 counties of the Diocese of Youngstown.
Connect with us to be inspired and challenged
to a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ and His Church.
Visit CatholicEcho.org to find the Catholic Echo magazine,
weekly podcasts, inspirational videos,
and our Sunday Mass from St. Columba Cathedral.
Follow Diocesan social media on Facebook and Instagram.
Or find what's happening now at DOY.org.
The Catholic Echo is your source for spiritual growth in the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown.
We put food back on tables, support local workers, unlock doors, and walk together on the road back. Help Catholic Charities serve your neighbors in need. Join us at wearethere.us.
The Catholic Echo podcast will inform and entertain the faithful of the diocese by covering various topics that are relevant in the Church today. Bishop David J. Bonner begins the podcast with your host, Dennis Biviano, on the topic of the day, and then you'll hear from others with expertise on that topic. You can listen to the Catholic Echo podcast on WHOT-FM 101, WYFM-FM 102.9, WQXK-FM 105.1 on Sundays at 6:30 a.m., or catch it online by going to www.wqxk.org. catholicecho.org/podcast. The Catholic Echo podcast is produced by the Communications Department of the Diocese of Youngstown.
Many sisters, brothers, and religious order priests served for little pay, and now their communities lack retirement funds.
I spent 34 years as a teacher.
I just loved interacting with the students.
Gifts to the Retirement Fund for Religious help provide for medications, nursing care, and more. An annual collection is held in parishes across the nation.
I always remember you in my prayers.
Please give to those who have given a lifetime. Visit retiredreligious.org.
This is Katie Wagner, Editor-in-Chief of the Catholic Echo magazine, and I'm here today with Jennifer Lucarelli from Catholic Charities, Diocese of Youngstown. Thank you for joining me, Jennifer.
Good morning, Katie. Thank you for having me.
So Jennifer is here today because we have various events that we would like to talk about relating to Catholic Charities in the season of giving and really the winter season in general. So first of all, Jennifer, tell us a little bit about what you do for Catholic Charities. How long have you worked there? What are your primary roles? And I know that you're also very involved in events.
So I'm currently serving as the project manager. I have been with this department for over 16 years, and my role has evolved a lot over the course of those 16 years. As the project manager, I oversee all of the events and engagement opportunities that we do throughout the year. So we do a lot of fundraising out of our office, but we also do educational components and engagement activities throughout the year.
So what I understand is that I shouldn't even say upcoming, right now we are in the season of giving.
That's correct.
So can you explain what the season of giving is?
So our Season of Giving campaign is an overall campaign that encompasses everything that happens from November 1st through December 31st. It's the biggest time of year for Catholic Charities to receive gifts from donors that want to do some good. And focused around the holiday giving period, people tend to be a little bit more generous than other times of the year.
Right.
So we give them lots of opportunities to fulfill their personal mission in their own lives.
And I know that Giving Tuesday is sort of a component of that, which we went over earlier in the podcast with Rachel. But there are also several other things going on. So you have your Christmas gifting program. Can you explain what that is?
Yes, of course. So a lot of people have indicated that they want to buy a gift for somebody that doesn't really need a gift. So we created this option for you to make a donation in honor of somebody else, and then we will send them a customized, personalized greeting card on your behalf.
So it'll say something like, Jennifer made a donation to Catholic Charities of X amount and Merry Christmas. And
exactly. Donors can even leave a personal message if they wanted to, like from their family, the names of their family, or in honor of somebody living or deceased, whatever they choose to do, we can do that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That begins on Black Friday, and it runs through the third week of December.
Fantastic. Okay, and this, as well as all the other things we are going to talk about, will be available at ccdoi.org. But tell me about the two events that happen the same week as Giving Tuesday. So there's Breakfast with the Bishop. That is literally on Giving Tuesday.
Yes, December 3rd, 8 a.m., St. Michael Parish in Canfield.
Okay, what does that event entail?
Really, it's just a way to gather people together to celebrate the season of giving and to celebrate each other and welcome in the holiday spirit. It's a very low-key, friendly, fun atmosphere. We have a little breakfast, we have a little mimosas, some good coffee, we have a bake sale, a holiday bake sale, and we also twist in a little educational component so our guests can learn about what's happening at Catholic Charities and what they need to know about the mission and service that we're doing.
Okay. And presumably the bishop is there.
Yes.
Okay.
He's a big fan of breakfast and he loves bagels. So we always make sure a few of those are available too.
Oh, that's interesting. See, I knew he didn't eat donuts, but he's a bagel guy.
He's a bagel guy.
That's cool. Okay. So you have Breakfast with the Bishop, and that is a fundraiser, and, folks can learn more about Catholic Charities and the various things you're doing. Then you have a similar event in Canton.
Yes.
On Thursday.
Yes.
And that is Social Hour with the Bishop.
Correct.
Where is that this year?
It's at Gervasi Vineyards in Canton.
It's in late afternoon, correct?
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, I believe. But all of the details will be on the website. But I think the doors open at 5 o'clock.
Okay, fantastic. I assume that there will be, wine and cocktails, but can you talk a little bit about what you have planned for the event?
Sure. So it's definitely a more formal cocktail hour style of a social. So the bishop will be there. Our director for Catholic Charities for Portage and Stark County, Rick Squire, will be there with his staff and his board members. And this event is a strong focus on the mission and services for Catholic Charities serving those two counties.
Okay.
Because the need is so great and the demand for us to have a presence in that area has been great over the years, which is why we split apart one event and created two events.
That makes sense. Earlier this year, you had Chefs for Charity, and that was really Catholic Charities regional agency.
Exactly.
That benefited from that. So that was a specific area that
Right.
was benefiting. So this is similar to that.
It is.
Where it is Portage and Stark.
Correct. It's focused just on those two counties.
Okay. That
So
makes
all
sense.
of the proceeds that are raised from that event will stay in those counties to help the people in need there.
Whereas Breakfast with the Bishop is Catholic Charities Diocese of Youngstown.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense. So these are the events that you have that are sort of around the Christmas season and the season of giving. But I know that in January, you usually have your Warm Hearts for Warm Homes campaign, correct?
We do. So it's an extra way for us to raise funds to help people keep their homes warm during the winter. It's primarily utility assistance, but in certain cases, a family might just need winter weather gear. They might need coats and jackets and hats and boots and things like that. Primarily, though, it is for utility assistance to keep the heat on.
So families can reach out to you if they find that they need that assistance, but then others can also give specifically to that cause during that time.
Right. So clients in need, they would actually reach out to our service agencies to see if they qualify for that assistance, because there are some criteria that they would have to fall in line with. But beyond that, we're offering like a supplemental fund.
So for all of these events, information can be found at ccdoy.org,
Yes,
correct?
Everything's on the website.
Yes, you have a fantastic website. I'm on there all the time.
Thank you.
So
we try to keep it up to date and fresh and keep it moving as things change.
And I can confirm it always is. So tickets, if they are still available, especially to Breakfast with the Bishop and Social Hour with the Bishop, they could probably go on the website and find that out, but it might be better to call for those two things.
I would
correct?
check the website for updates, and then if you're not sure, just give me a call.
And what is your phone number?
330-744-8451.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me today,
All
Jennifer.
right. Thank you, Katie.
If you'd like more information, you can find it at www.doy.org. And if you would like to read more, visit thecatholicecho.org. So that's www.catholicecho.org.
The Catholic Echo podcast is a production of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Youngstown. Your host has been Dennis Biviano. Have a blessed day, and may God be with you.